New Testament in a Year reading plan. And so today we're looking at Mark chapter 9, verses 1 through 29. And he said to them, I tell you the truth, there are some standing who will not experience death before they see the kingdom of God come with power. 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter, James, John, and led them alone up a high mountain privately. And he was transfigured before them. And his clothes became radiantly white, so more so than any launderer in the world could bleach them. Then Elijah appeared before them, along with Moses. And they were talking with Jesus. So Peter said to Jesus, Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. For they were afraid and he did not know what to say. Then a cloud overshadowed them, and a voice came from the cloud. This is my one dear son. Listen to him. Suddenly, when they looked around, they saw no one with them any more except Jesus. As they were coming down from the mountain, Jesus gave them orders not to tell anyone what they had seen until the Son of Man had risen from the dead. They kept this statement to themselves, discussing what this rising from the dead meant. They asked him, why do the experts in the law say that Elijah must come first? And he said to them, Elijah does indeed come first and restores all things. And why is it written that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be despised? But I tell you, Elijah has certainly come, and they did to him whatever they wanted, just as it was written about him. When they came to the disciples, they saw a large crowd around them and experts in the law arguing with them. Then the whole crowd saw him, and they were amazed and ran at once and greeted him. And he asked them, what are you arguing about with them? A member of the crowd said to him, Teacher, I brought you my son who is possessed by a spirit that makes him mute. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him down, and he foams at the mouth, grinds his teeth, and becomes rigid. I asked his disciples to cast it out. They were unable to do so. He answered them, You unbelieving generation, how much longer must I be with you? How much longer must I endure you? Bring him to me. So they brought the boy to him. When the spirit saw him, it immediately threw the boy into convulsions. He fell on the ground and rolled around, foaming at the mouth. And Jesus asked his father, How long has this been happening to him? And he said, From childhood. It is thrown into fire or water to destroy him. But if you're able to do anything, have compassion on us and help us. And Jesus said to him, If you are able, all things are possible for one who believes. Immediately the father of the boy cried out, I believe, help my unbelief. Now when Jesus saw that a crowd was quickly gathering, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, Mute and deaf spirit, I command you to come out of him and never enter him again. It shrieked, threw him into terrible convulsions, and then came out. The boy looked so much like a corpse that many said he is dead, but Jesus gently took his hand and raised him to his feet, and he stood up. Then, after he went into the house, his disciples asked him privately, Why couldn't we cast it out? And he told them, This kind can only come out by prayer. A couple things here. I love Peter's character, like who he is. That's what I mean by that, because I think he's relatable, and I think we can learn a lot from some of the things that he's done, not because he did it right, but because he kind of blundered through things. And when Jesus was transfigured, he said things because he didn't know what to say, and I wonder what he missed out on because he didn't just soak in the moment. and he listened to what God was saying. Instead, he had to do something. He had to say something. I mean, he was the spokesperson for the disciples. He was the oldest among them. So I do understand that. But I think one of the things that we can learn from this is sometimes we need to wait for God to tell us what we need to do and not just kind of jump in there. Hey, God, what I can do this. I can build these 3 shelters. That would be good. It's good for me to be here for this because I can do this. That wasn't what God was wanting. That was not the point of the transfiguration. It was the point so that they could hear from God that Jesus was the Son. Jesus was the Messiah. And that way they could also make sure and understand life, death, and resurrection aspect of Jesus' ministry. Then you have this man, and I think they're connected. This man who brings his son and asks for Jesus to help him. And he says, if you're able. And Jesus, he calls him out on it. He says, if I'm able, anything is possible for those who believe. And the statement, I believe, help my unbelief. I think that's also very important because faith always has doubt in it. That's an aspect of it. But there's a difference between doubt and unbelief. And this father was seeking, and he was seeking in faith, but he still had his doubts, and it was wavering between doubt and unbelief, and he was trying to have faith. And so he realized, you know what? Yes, I believe, but I need more faith. Help my unbelief. Help my issues that I'm dealing with. Help the fact that I look at this situation and I can't see a way forward. Jesus still answers the prayer. I believe, help my unbelief. He still helps us see a way forward. He still helps us see how things can be different. And we need to pray. And all of this, this kind can only come out by prayer. Prayer, many times, is something that I don't think we as Christians take as seriously as we should. I don't think we take it as the enormous gift that it is that we can come before the Father. Not only that we can come with our requests, but we can listen, and God will speak to us. Hope you guys are doing well. Have a wonderful